So you already know what this is about, and it is absolutely ridiculous. So, it's another morning at Chapel Hill, and today we're doing our Monday, Wednesday, Friday class schedule, and we are going to the Stone Center to do a drama class. I think it's like the history of theater. So that's all I've got for the day, and then I can find some other stuff to do, probably do some homework editing, but other stuff like that. So drama is a very short and sweet class. It's only about 50 minutes, and I actually found out Cole Anthony is in my class. I didn't want to go up and talk to him on the first day or intrude on him or anything, but I just thought that was really cool that I get to have a class with him. So I think I'm just going to edit tomorrow's video as of right now, and then we'll see like what else I want to do. I figured out something I want to do, or at least just talk about, because this is very important to me. So you know what, I'm just going to make this whole part the thumbnail. I'm going to make this the title and everything, so you already know what this is about, and it is absolutely ridiculous. And like, it's time to talk some tea, but like, I don't like tea, so we're just gonna drink a orange Coke instead. And here, we're gonna turn these lights to orange too. This is going to be orange Coke talk. We're only gonna do this when there's massive drama we need to talk about. I just plugged in my more professional microphone, so I hope this sounds a little better. I don't know. I hope this isn't hurting your ears with me talking this deep into the mic. I'll put it down now. So like, if you're anyone on the planet right now that has access to a news source, whether that's social media like Twitter, or it's normal media just like reading CNN articles and stuff, you have seen what's happening with SpiderMan. A massive standoff has happened between Sony and Disney/Marvel Studios. And the problem is that basically Disney wanted to be getting paid for these movies that they're completely producing, and I think that's kind of fair. Basically, if you don't know how the contract works, Sony and Disney made a deal together that Sony could give Spider-Man to Disney to use in their MCU in all their movies. So the contract basically is that Sony was going to produce 3 Spider-Man movies, that being Homecoming, Far From Home, and then one that still hasn't come out yet and may never come out. And then they also, in his contract, allowed him to be part of 3 other MCU movies, those being Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame. In exchange, Sony would make all profits on the 3 MCU Spider-Man solo films that were produced. Like, I know they own the property, but let's think about this. Does this really sound fair to you? We're going to simply let you have like $1 billion per like each movie. That's what it's basically averaging out to between those 2 films, is $1 billion per movie, so almost $2 billion because of just 2 MCU produced movies, and all you get in return is to make him a side character in 3 of your movies. It's not like he's a massive selling point in those movies. He's not even a lead character in any of those 3 movies. If we're being honest, they used him in Civil War a little bit to sell it more, but you didn't even need Spider-Man to sell Civil War because it was Civil War. And then Infinity War and Endgame, like, no one was really going to watch Infinity War because Spider-Man was in it, and no one was going to watch Endgame for Spider-Man because they didn't know Spider-Man was even in the movie. And the reason this topic is so important to me is because Spider-Man is my favorite character in the MCU. After watching Far From Home, he immediately definitely claimed that spot at number 1. Also, if you're interested in knowing who follows, it's Doctor Strange and then Iron Man. But like, Spider-Man is really, really important to me. Like, I legit have a Mysterio pop that I brought to the dorm, and this is basically one of my only decorations. And then I've got an in-game poster over here, but it doesn't have Spider-Man on it. I'm sorry for that. I couldn't find a Far From Home poster. So I think we got 4 scenarios for what's going to happen in the future. And I'll go through these by most likely to least likely. So I would say the most likely thing is Sony and Disney may renegotiate. But like, you never know with Sony, because they're definitely not the best company and not the best decision makers if you've looked at their track record and history and everything. So you never know if they'd want to get back together, because they've made dumb decisions before. Maybe this is going to go down in history as their dumbest decision they've ever made, because they know they need Disney to sell these Spider-Man movies. No one wants to go watch another reboot of a new Spider-Man that's not in the MCU. Basically, people don't really even want to watch superhero movies that are not in the MCU. You look at DC movies, people are definitely not as interested in DC as they are the Marvel movies. Like, when more of the minor Marvel characters like Guardians of the Galaxy, Black Panther, Captain Marvel all do so much better than like your best heroes like Superman, Batman, Aquaman, Justice League, when those all flop and these minor characters are succeeding, it's obvious that basically Marvel has a monopoly on this certain industry. But like, that leads into the second most likely thing to happen is that Sony's just going to go and reboot these, and they're going to be terrible. Everyone's going to hate them. And like, it's going to go down as one of the worst decisions Sony ever made. But then I think after that, more of a less likely thing to happen, but still possible, is that Disney could actually just buy away the rights to Spider-Man from Sony. It's going to be a very high price, but there's chances that Disney could just buy it so they wouldn't have to worry about working with Sony anymore. And finally, just a random insane thing that's likely not to happen at all, but still I think it was fun to share, is that Disney could just buy Sony completely and just like buy all of Sony Pictures, all their movies and everything. I think that would be pretty interesting, just knowing how much Disney owns already, and then just to go buy Sony after Sony disagrees with them on something. And yeah, that's my 4 things that are most likely to happen to least likely to happen here, and who knows what is actually going to happen. All I can say is that I'm not going to be left on that Far From Home end credits cliffhanger for all of eternity. But I'm going to stop rambling on now, and this was Orange Coke Talk Time. Sponsored by Coke. Not really.
So why not let the actual scientists do it and see what's gonna happen.